Okay, so yes, Advaishri, you will get the copy of these questions in the WhatsApp group. Do not worry, but try solving these questions with me. Done. Let's start then. Hi, Advaishri. Okay, so yes. Good morning. Okay, so let us begin. First question. A reaction. Assertion says a reaction in which a single reactant breaks down to give simpler product is known as decomposition reaction, right? Reason says these reactions are always exothermic. So when a single reactant breaks down to give a simpler product, it is a decomposition reaction, right? That is the definition of a decomposition reaction. Good morning, Kalyan. Yeah, so sleepy, yeah. But the reason says these reactions are always exothermic. So, firstly, whenever you are trying to decompose, whenever you're trying to decompose, let's say if we have the decomposition of magnesium oxide, what will be getting? We'll be getting magnesium plus oxygen, right? Yes. No. Decomposition reaction, we give energy. Whenever you're trying to break anything, whenever breaking is involved, breaking means giving energy. And what do you mean by giving energy? Giving energy means the reaction is endothermic. The reaction is endothermic. Right? Not exothermic, the reaction is endothermic. Yes. So, assertion is correct, but the reason is false. Assertion is correct, but the reason is false. Yes, correct. Correct option is option number C. Why D? Assertion is true, right? This is the definition of a decomposition reaction. Yes. But these reactions are not always exothermic. Oh, you have it confused. No worries, Advaishri. So Kalyan answered C. That is correct. Yes. Magnesium and oxygen. Next question. Assertion says on thermal decomposition of lead nitrate, emission of brown fume is observed, right? This is lead nitrate. And when you do the thermal decomposition, that is, you try to decompose it in presence of by giving heat. So brown fumes are observed. Reason says these brown fumes, okay? Reason says lead nitrate on heating forms solid lead oxide, oxygen and nitrogen NO2 gases. So just tell me what you think is the correct answer is. Let me do the reaction till then. These are the products that we will be getting on thermal decomposition of lead nitrate. Assertion says on thermal decomposition of lead nitrate, brown fumes are observed, right? Again, my dear kids, you are answering it wrong. See, assertion is a statement. Whenever you are answering these kind of questions, remember one thing, assertion is a statement, right? And reason should give the answer to that statement, right? Whenever you are trying to answer assertion and reason question, do one thing. Say the assertion, after that add because. After that add the word because. And then say the reason. If after saying because and reason the statement makes sense, then it is correct. For example, in here, on thermal decomposition of lead nitrate, emission of brown fumes observed because lead nitrate on heating forms solid lead oxide or O2 and NO2 gases. Does it explain something? No. See, because the reason brown fumes are observed because of this nitrogen dioxide only, right? Alone this. Rest do not show this color, do not show any color actually. Clear? So, still you are answering wrong. A is not the correct answer. The correct answer will be, yes, both assertion and reasoning are true, but reason is not the correct explanation of assertion. Because reason does not explain the assertion. Assertion says brown fumes are observed. So reason says you have the products, these products you are getting, but it did not explain explain why brown fumes are observed. I hope it is clear. Yes, it forms, it is there, but the reason is nitrogen dioxide. The correct answer is not A, yes, it is B. Clear? I hope it is clear, okay? And whenever you are doing the other approach, supposedly if you have the reason, so you can do reason, say the reason, and that is why. If you have the reason and that is why, add this statement and that is why, and then say the assertion. If it makes sense, then it is the correct answer. Clear? Then that means assertion and reason are correct. Yes. Prajesh, A is not the correct answer, B is the correct answer because reason does not explain the assertion. Although both are correct, lead nitrate on heating does form these compounds, lead oxide, oxygen and nitrogen dioxide. Clear? Next question. A characteristic odor of burning sulfur is observed during the decomposition of ferrous sulfate. Clear? SO2 and SO3 gases are released when ferrous sulfate is heated. Now add the because. Yes, it is suitable for all the assertion reason type questions dealing with any subject, all the subjects. Does it? How B? See, a characteristic odor of burning sulfur is observed during the decomposition of ferrous sulfate. This is the decomposition, right? When you decompose ferrous sulfate, you get these products, right? The characteristic burning sulfur smell is due to these sulfur. Yes, sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide. So the reason does explain the assertion, my dear kids. Yes, the reason does explain the assertion. Again, a characteristic odor of burning sulfur is observed during the decomposition of ferrous sulfate because SO2 and SO3 gases are released when ferrous sulfate is heated. So that means the assertion and reason are correct. Both are true, first thing. Second, reason correctly explain the assertion. So the correct answer is A, my dear kids. Both assertion and reason are true and reason is the correct explanation of assertion. So Art by Shri, the correct answer is option A. I see you guys there's a lot of confusion about these kind of questions. So always use this approach whenever you're trying to answer these questions. Say assertion, add because and then say the reason. So assertion, then add because and then add reason. And if this makes sense, then option A, always mark option A, that is both assertion and reason are true and reason is the correct explanation of assertion. It can be, there are multiple ways, It's not just Fe3O4. Fe2O3 is Fe3O4. No. We get ferric oxide only. Fe2O3. Next question. On electrolysis of water, hydrogen and oxygen gases are formed over cathode and anode respectively. That means hydrogen gas is produced over cathode, and at anode we have oxygen gas. The ratio of the amount of hydrogen and oxygen formed during the electrolysis of water is 1:2. Hello Hemant, you are up early. The number of the oxidation state, actually, the oxidation state of iron is different for both. Yes, so Advaishri, I hope it clears your doubt. It depends on the oxidation state of iron. One is Fe2 plus, one is Fe3 plus, okay? Okay. At cathode, so whenever decomposition, electrolysis of water happen, by using electricity we are decomposing water. So what are the products? We get hydrogen and oxygen. We get hydrogen and oxygen, right? If you try to balance this equation, this is using electricity. So if you try to balance it, so you add 2 here and 2 here. Now this is balanced. Now see, yes, at cathode we are getting, yes, this is true. At cathode we get hydrogen gas, and at anode we get oxygen gas. At anode we get oxygen gas. Clear? But the ratio, the amount of hydrogen and oxygen that is formed during electrolysis is 2:1. That is, hydrogen is 2 and oxygen is 1. Here it is written hydrogen is 1 and oxygen is 2. Hydrogen is 1 and oxygen is 2. So how can B be the correct answer? The correct answer is yes, assertion is true, but the reason is false. Assertion is true, but the reason is false. That is option number C. I hope it is clear now. Next question. Silver jewelry lose their shine. Silver jewelry lose their shine after some time. The reason is oxygen and moisture attack on silver to form a layer of silver oxide on its surface. To form a layer of silver oxide on its surface. So Kalyan answered correctly. C is the correct answer. Yes. Hemant also answered correctly. Now in the next question, tell me the correct answer of this one. So yes, if you have kept silver jewelry in your outside for some time, you see it turns black. So what is the reason of it being black? Silver forms yes, there is oxygen there, but it majorly reacts with the silver sulfide and it forms, it majorly reacts with the hydrogen sulfide and form yes, silver sulfide. It forms silver sulfide. Yes. Sulfur, no silver sulfur. Yes. So according to the assertion, yes, they lose their shine after some time. That is correct. Because oxygen forms because of silver oxide. That is not the reason. The reason is silver sulfide. It is black in color. Silver reacts with sulfur and it forms silver sulfide. Clear? So that means assertion is true, but the reason is false, my dear kids. Yes, assertion is true, but the reason is false. Option number C, correct. Next question. The bulb does not glow on passing electric current through glucose and alcohol solution. Yes, it does not glow. That means assertion is true. Let's move on to the reason. The presence of ions in the solution is necessary for the conduction of electricity. Right. So In glucose and alcohol, yes, they have carbon, they have hydrogen, and they have oxygen. These three elements are common in both glucose and alcohol. But the thing is, they are what? They are not present in ions form, right? They are organic compounds. That means they do not have the charges. They do not have the positive negative charges, or they are not polar, right? Polar means poles, having a positive pole and a negative pole. These are poles. Clear? So in alcohol and glucose, they do not have the poles, and because of that reason they do not conduct electricity, because there are no ions. I have told you multiple times, electricity conduction happens because of two things: ions or electrons, right? If either of one of these things or both of these things are there, electricity conduction will happen. In case of glucose and alcohol, neither of these things are there, and because of that reason they do not conduct electricity. So assertion is true, reason is also true, and reason is the correct explanation of assertion. Yes, but don't rise to ions. Yes. Yes, the correct answer is option number A. I hope it is clear. Let's move on to the next question. Yes, you are answering correctly. A is the correct answer. Free electrons and positive negative ions. Correct, Hemant. Okay, Abhinav. Next question. Assertion says all strong acids and bases are non-corrosive in nature. Strong acids and bases. Focus on the word strong. And the thing written is non-corrosive. Corrosive, you know, right? Which is harmful to environment, which corrode anything, right? Which can seep through anything. It can corrode anything. Corrosion, you know, right? Reason is sulfuric acid is a strong acid and NaOH is a strong base. First thing, let's see these statements individually. Let's check the assertion. All strong acids and bases are non-corrosive in nature. No, they are highly corrosive in nature. Yes, all these strong acids and bases are highly corrosive in nature, right? That's why you should never deal with them. Like in the concentrated form, do not ever try to use them without proper gloves, and you know, if you ever spilt it on your hands, wash them immediately, because it will irritate your skin and will harm you. Okay. Good morning, Manish. So Advaishi answered D. Let's check it. So assertion is obviously false. What about the reason? Yes, sulfuric acid is a strong acid, sodium hydroxide is a strong base. So that means assertion is false, but the reason is true. Assertion is false, but the reason is true. Yes, so Advaishi answered correctly. Kalyan also answered correctly. Burn. Yes, it will burn. Never use it. It has been said, if you have properly, like highly concentrated sulfuric acid, if you put one drop on your palm, it will go straight from the other side. That's how corrosive it is. Hi, Arambhian. You all are up early. Next question. Assertion says caustic soda have corrosive action on the skin. Firstly, you should know what is caustic soda. Tell me what is caustic soda. Hello, Khushi. Reason says NaOH being a strong base causes corrosive action and harms skin. The reason is NaOH being a strong base causes corrosive action and harms skin. So, yes. Firstly, caustic soda. NaOH is caustic soda. NaOH is caustic soda, and it is a strong base. Yes, it is a strong base, and because it is a strong base, it has corrosive action on the skin and it harms our skin. That's why it has a corrosive action on our skin. Correct. Caustic soda is NaOH. So that means assertion is true, reason is true, and reason is the correct explanation of assertion. The correct answer is option number A. Who answered D? Achha, D was for the last question. Yes, the correct answer is A. Next question. Assertion says adding or dissolving water into acid is highly exothermic reaction. Whenever you have tried adding acid in water, yes, is it a highly exothermic reaction? Yes, it is a highly exothermic reaction. On dilution of an acid, H positive ion concentration decreases. So whenever you dilute an acid, let's say this acid is there, and whenever you dilute it, that means add more water to it, what will happen? The acid give H positive, right, and bases give OH negative, right? So these H positive ion concentration decreases. What is happening? Let me explain you a little briefing what is happening when we are doing the dilution. So let's suppose I have acid here, let's say HCl here. So it will be, if I dissolve it in water, and this is water, it will be present as H positive and Cl negative. And if I add too much water, dilution means adding too much of any solvent. So in this case, adding too much of water. If you add too much of water, what will happen? The water molecule will come in between these H positive and Cl negative. So initially, let's say, if initially in this room there are 100 people, okay? There are 100 people, right? Let's say 50 women and 50 men, okay? We have 50 women and 50 men. That is very packed, right? But if by some way they start diluting, that means they start going out of this room, right? And only, let's say, 5 men and 5 women are there. Now only 5 men and 5 women are there. So the gap will be a lot more, right? If I want to check per square how many humans are there. So in this case, it will be around, let's say, 10, right? And in this case, it will be around what? 1 or 2. Even less than 1 maybe, right? Because you have so much surface area and only 10 people there, right? Yes. So what happens when you are doing the dilution? The H positive Cl negative ion, which are closer by, they have water molecule coming in between them. The water molecule insert itself between them, and what happens? We have H positive very far away, and that's why we say whenever you try to take some amount out of it and check the H positive concentration, it will be very less. Why? Because the H positive are very far away. Okay, that is dilution. Okay, that is simply the dilution. So yeah, most of you are answered A, C. Who answered C? Actually, the correct answer is yes, adding or dissolving water into acid is highly exothermic. Yes, it is exothermic. That is true. On dilution of an acid, the H positive ion concentration decreases. That is also true. So reason is true, assertion is true. But does the reason explain the assertion? No, it does not explain the assertion, my dear kids. So the correct answer is option number B. What happened to you all? Why are you answering incorrectly? Yes, the correct answer is option number B, not A or not C. Yes, why? Because obviously. Clear? I hope your doubts are clear. Now you know. See, on dilution this does decreases, but the reason is not this one. Adding or dissolving water into acid is exothermic. The reason should explain the assertion, right? Next question. Citric acid and pickle should not be kept in metal vessels. Citric acid and pickle have mild acids which can react with metals to produce toxic substances. Correct. That is correct. We all know that. Hello. Hello, Manas. See, assertion is true. Citric acid and pickles have citric acid is a mild acid, right? Pickles also have vinegar, right? Vinegar is acetic acid, right? So they should not be kept in metal vessels. Why? Because acid and metal, whenever acids react with metals, what do we get? We get salt plus hydrogen gas. Salt. This salt can be poisonous. In case of metals, the salt is poisonous, and because of that reason, we do not store citric acid or pickles in metal vessels. Clear? So assertion is true and reason is the correct explanation. Yes, correct answer is option A. Good morning. Yes. Hi, Hero. Yes, the correct answer is A. Next question. Assertion says the sulfide ores are converted into oxides by heating strongly in presence of excess air, right? Firstly, you should know, tell me the name of this process. Heating of sulfide ores in presence of excess oxygen. Yes, correct answer. Every one of you is answering correctly now. Reason says the sulfide ores are converted into oxides by heating above its melting point. So, The assertion says sulfide ores are converted into oxides by heating strongly in the presence of excess air. That is correct. We call this process what? We call this process roasting. Call this process roasting, right? Yes, roasted, yes, roasting. Correct. Reason says the sulfide ores are converted into oxides by heating above its melting point. So yes, when you heat sulfide ore, when you heat any sulfide ore, in presence of extra oxygen, excess of air, we get metal oxide. We get their respective oxide. So that means reason is the correct explanation of assertion. Both are true and reason explains the assertion correctly. Why do we heat it? Because whenever oxygen is involved, you see, whenever more oxygen is there, you know, temperature rises to a very great amount, very high amount, right? Yeah, so because of that reason we heat sulfide ore in excess of oxygen to get that extra temperature. Clear? Yes, roasting. Everyone is answering correctly. Roasting. Yes. Yes, Advaishri, the correct answer is option number A. Option A. Next question. The same question, but it's a little different. Assertion says silver articles turn black after some time. Silver articles turn black after some time, and the reason is black coating over silver is due to the formation of silver sulfide. We just discussed it. Yes, silver sulfide is black in color, and because of this formation, these silver articles turn black after some time. Yes, my dear kids. So yes, the correct answer is option number A. Yes. The correct answer is option number A, because the reason assertion is correct and the reason is also correct, and reason explains the assertion in reason also explains the assertion, right? Okay. Next question. Assertion says the electrical conductivity and melting point of an alloy is more than that of pure metals. That is one thing. Reason being, alloying is very good method for improving the properties of metal. Yeah, tell me the answer. See, one thing is there, whenever we are talking about the electrical conductivity, for alloys, yes, the electrical conductivity can be high, can be low, but mostly it is high. But the melting point of alloy is more than that of pure metals. More than that of pure metal. That statement. Yes, Advaishri, do mention your doubt. I'll explain it. Okay, so alloys. What are alloys actually? They are a mixture of metals, right? When you have two different metals and you combine them in different proportion, different percentage, you get alloys, right? Now these alloys, they have low melting point than the pure metals. These alloys have low melting point than the pure metals. MP means melting point, right? So alloys have low melting point, not more than that of pure metals, right? Solder is an alloy of what? Tin and lead, and it has very low melting point, right? Similarly, you can see the other alloys also. Alloys generally have lower melting point than the pure metals. Why? Because they are a mixture of two metals, so two different melting points. So on average, they have a lower melting point. Clear? next is alloying is very good method for improving the properties. Yes, why do we do alloying? We are doing alloying to get metals. Basically it's like gene modification, so we are modifying metal so that we can improve certain properties of metal that we need, right? For example, copper gets rusted very easily, but if you have brass or bronze, it does not get rusted easily, right? So we make our alloys so that we can improve certain properties in our metals. Okay, Advashri, refining of metal. Yes, so that means assertion is false and the reason is true. This is not true. Why? Because alloys generally have low melting point than the metals. But alloying is reason is true because alloying is done for improving the properties of metals. Yes, clear. So Advashri, your doubt was, I am teaching from a studio. Refining of metal. So refining of metal is normally done for metals which are lying in the middle to low reactivity series, right? From the middle to low reactivity series. Okay, we are doing electrolytic refining for these metals. So how do you do the electrolytic refining? Just to explain it to you, we have two rods. One is anode and one is cathode. Both are connected to electricity, to a source of electricity. Let's say this is anode and this is cathode, and there is a salt solution, or you can say electrolyte. Now listen carefully. The metal that you want to refining, first remember the word is refining. That means you're refining a metal. You already have a metal, impure hai, that is impure, right? And you add you're doing some process, and by that process you're getting a pure metal. You're refining that impure metal. So you make the impure metal rod as the anode, impure metal rod as the anode, and pure metal as the cathode, and pure metal as the cathode. Clear? And when you pass electricity through it, what happens that this anode starts breaking. This anode starts breaking. One more thing, this electrolyte is a soluble salt solution of that metal. The metal that we are trying to refine, it is a soluble salt solution of that metal, right? Soluble salt solution of that metal. Clear? Remember these three things. Okay, after that the anode is made up of the impure metal, the cathode is made up of the pure metal. When you pass the electricity, anodes start breaking down, and after breaking down, where will it go? It will go in this salt solution, right? From this salt solution, the salt solution also has the metal, right? The salt solution also has the metal. Now metal from the salt solution will deposit on this cathode. Metal from the salt solution. How whatever the quantity of anode broke down, that equivalent quantity will deposit on the cathode, right? And that's how you get pure metal, right? That's how you get your pure metal. Yes. Yeah, gang. So whatever the impurities was there was some impurity. That's why it was impure metal, right? The impurity will deposit under this anode, and that's why it is called the anode mud. This is called the anode mud. Clear? This is the process. Pass the electricity, anode will break down, impurities will deposit as the anode mud, and equivalent amount of metal from the solution will deposit on the cathode as the pure metal. So with time, what will happen? Anode will start decompose, and it will completely vanish, and cathode will be thickened, right? So initially, if you had this much rod, this much of a rod, it will be this much thick, right? Because why? Because the pure metal from the anode deposited on the cathode. Okay. Okay, I hope Advaishri you understood it now. Next question. An alloy may be defined as homogeneous mixture of two or more metals or a metal and a non-metal. An alloy containing mercury as one of the constant is known as amalgam. See, for this question, let's have the easy approach. We know reason is correct because if an alloy has one metal as mercury, it will always be called as amalgam. That is correct. And assertion says alloy may be defined as a homogeneous mixture. Yes, it is a homogeneous mixture because you are adding in a particular quantity and you have a uniform mixture. Homogeneous, for now you should understand, homogeneous means uniform. Of two or more metals or a metals and a metal and a non-metal. Clear? Yes, only 16 days left. Clear? Yes. A talks about the definition of alloys, which is correct. B talks about a particular alloy, mercury. Does it explain, do you think assertion and reasoning are related? Hello Divyanshu, good morning. So assertion is true, reason is true, but reason is not the correct explanation of assertion because assertion is a definition, right? And does reason explain the assertion? No, it does not. In the reason we are talking about mercury only, right? So assertion is true and reason is also true, but reason is not the correct explanation. The correct answer is B. Yes, correct. Abhinav, yeah, B, correct. Molecular mass of hydrocarbons increase in any homologous series. In any homologous series, right? We know homologous series each and mass increases by 14 atomic mass unit, right? Members of homologous series are successively increasing by 1 carbon and 2 hydrogen. Why? Because each successive member of homologous series differ by a CH2 unit, that is 1 carbon and 2 hydrogen atoms. Yes, that is correct. So that means assertion is true, reason is also true, and reason is the correct explanation of assertion. The molecular mass increases. Why it increases? Because each successive member differ by CH2 unit, that is 14 atomic mass unit, and because of that reason molecular mass is increasing. Okay? Yes, correct. So correct answer is option number A. Why C? Why C? The correct answer is option number A. Right? Because assertion is true, reason is also true, and reason is the correct explanation of assertion. Okay, next question. Melting point and boiling point increases with successive member of homologous series. Yeah, and reason is the molecular mass of members increase in any homologous series. So this thing is, yes, the molecular mass of members increase in any homologous series. Just add the because. You will answer it on your own actually. Have the assertion, add the because, say the reason. If it is correct, if the reason is correctly explaining the assertion, then your answer is option number A. Molecular mass remains same, ma'am. Add by Shri. For a homologous series, the molecular mass does not remain same. When you are moving the homologous series, moving down the homologous series, the successive members differ by CH2 unit. Let's see. Alkane is a homologous series, right? First member is methane, second member is ethane, right? Each successive member, the molecular mass of methane is different, right? And the molecular mass of ethane is greater than that of methane, right? Molecular mass does not remain same. The functional group remains same. The general formula, the thing that remains same is the general formula. Molecular mass. Chemical properties. The physical properties do not remain same, you know that, right? The physical properties also changes. How do they change, ma'am? So the physical properties, melting point, boiling point, right, molecular mass, it all increases. Either molecular mass increases, melting, boiling point, what happens? Either they will increase or they will decrease. Either they will increase or they will decrease. Clear? Okay. Hi, Razia. How to convey the mind? Hemant, what is your question? Okay, so the correct answer is option number A. Because yes, melting and boiling point increases. Why it increases? Because the molecular mass increases, right? 14U, that is molecular mass. That is not molecular mass, Arbashri. That 14U is this okay. For example, you have heard in mathematics, AP, GP, right? AP you have heard, right? Arithmetic progression, if it is there. If not for you, then do not worry. Let's move on something. 2, 4, you know the table of 2, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, right? 10, 12. So each successive member, 4, what is the difference between 2 and 4? 2. 4 and 6, 2. 6 and 8, 2. So each successive member has a difference of 2. Each successive member has a difference of 2. This 2 was CH2. That was I was talking about. See, each successive member of a homologous series, from methane to ethane, if you are going, see, calculate it and tell me what is the difference. It has 1 carbon and 4 hydrogens. It has 2 carbon and 6 hydrogens. What is the difference? 1 carbon and 2 hydrogens. 1 carbon and 2 hydrogens, right? That CH2 is different. It is not the molecular mass. It is the difference in between the members of the homologous series. Hold on a second. Please focus on your studies now. Now is the high time. After this, you have no time actually. Yes, and prioritize. I have made a video on how to score, so use that video and prioritize, study the important topics, study smartly, okay? Because we have really less time. That is nice. Next question. Assertion says the presence of a functional group decides the properties of the carbon compound regardless of the length of the carbon chain. Reason says CH3OH, C2H2, CH4, C2H4 have same chemical properties. Have same chemical properties. Amori, you can study and I am here with you. If you have any doubt, ask me, okay? I'll answer each and every doubt of you, okay? And if you want a study plan, I have made that for you also. So go check out, it's on the channel. You can see the study plan also there. I have actually given you the important topics there. You can see and check it there, okay? Do not worry. You can still save your boards. Okay, then you scored best. Tell me the answer, my dear kids. See, the presence of any functional group does decide the properties of the carbon compound regardless of the length. Yes, because all the alcohols, all the alkanes, alkenes, they will show different chemical reaction. All the alcohol will show the same chemical properties, chemical reactions. They will undergo the same chemical reaction. Why? Because they have the same functional group OH. All the alkenes will undergo the same chemical reaction. Why? Because they have the same general formula and same functional group. Alkenes also. Clear? So yes, the assertion is true that yes, the presence of a functional group decide the properties of the carbon compound regardless of what is the length, because ethanol, methanol, propanol, butanol, they all will show the same reaction of oxidation or whatever reaction any alcohol is showing. Clear? Or esterification, right? Reason says that these 4 I have, they have the same chemical properties. Do they have the same functional group? This is alcohol, right? This is H2, alkyne. This is alkane. This is what? Alkene. All have different functional group. Will they have the same chemical properties? No, they will not have the same chemical properties. Yes, assertion is true, but the reason is false. Yes, Adbhayshri, I'm proud of you. Good. Assertion is true, but the reason is false. Correct, Kalyan. Next question. Animal fat is considered as harmful for health. That is the assertion. Reason is because vegetable oil generally have long unsaturated carbon chains, considered as healthy. Considered as healthy. Yes, what is the assertion? Animal fats are considered as harmful for health because vegetable oil generally have long unsaturated carbon chains, considered as healthy. So you can see one thing, you know one thing, I believe, that animal fats are saturated. They are saturated, right? While vegetable oils are unsaturated, right? Vegetable oils are unsaturated compounds, animal fats are saturated compounds, and according to scientists, it is considered that animal fats are harmful for our health because they are saturated compounds, right? And our body takes long time to digest these saturated compounds, and they cause cholesterol-like issues or something, okay? So, assertion is true. That is correct. Yes, assertion is true. Reason is true. Reason is also true because it is considered healthy. But does the reason explain the assertion, my dear kids? Just think about it. Does the reason explain the assertion, my dear kids? Does the reason explain the assertion, my dear kids? No, it does not. No, it does not. Why? Because if you add the because at the end, B-C-O-Z, because at the end, and if you try to read the reason, because vegetable oil generally have long unsaturated carbon chain. Yeah, that is true, but where is the animal fat? Where is the explanation for the animal fat, right? There is no explanation, right? So both assertion and reason are true, but reason is not the correct explanation, my dear kids. No, who is saying no? Yes, the correct answer is B. What happened at by Shri? Yes, B is the correct answer. Correct. Okay. Next question. Assertion says solder is used for welding electrical wires together. What is solder? Tell me what solder is made up of. Which metals alloy is solder? Two metals, na? Reason is solder is an alloy of lead and tin and has a low melting point. Solder is an alloy of lead and tin and has a low melting point. So the answer is there. Yes, solder is an alloy of lead and tin. And reason is because it is an alloy of lead and tin and it has low melting point. Only because of this reason it is used for welding, because you can melt it with a little heat. Little heat you use, it will melt, and you can use it to join the electrical circuit, right? To make the, for welding electrical wires together. Welding electrical wires together. PB and SN, right? PB and SN art by Shri. Yes, and normally the fuses that we have in our houses, the MCB you can call it, that is made up of solder. That the wire that is in there, it is solder. So yes, both assertion and reasoning are true. Yes, A is correct answer. Next question. Soap can work better in hard water. That is the assertion. And the reason says soaps react with calcium and magnesium salts present in hard water and forms an insoluble substance called scum. So assertion, do you think assertion is true? Do you think assertion is true? No, the assertion is not true. Why? Because soap do not work in hard water. They only work in soft water. Soaps only work in soft water, not hard water. Why? Because in hard water we have calcium magnesium salt, and these calcium magnesium salt, they form an insoluble substance. That substance is called scum. That substance is called scum. I hope it is clear. So the reason is true, but the assertion is false. The reason is true, but the assertion is false. Yes, the correct answer is D. Correct. Yes. Yes, Kalyan, D is the correct answer. I know you know the answer. Next question. Done. We are done with all the assertion reason questions. I hope you enjoyed this session. Give it a like, and if you have any doubts, do mention them. And you done, I believe. You do not seem to have any doubts. All the best for your boards, and let's meet at 10 actually. We have a sample paper to solve, official sample paper of CBSE 2025-26. So let's solve it together at 10 a.m. See you in the 10 a.m. class. Okay. Bye everyone.